everybody, welcome to the Mana Leek for another Wacky Wednesday. I'm John. I don't know if I've actually mentioned that before, but hi, I'm John. So as I mentioned last week, I wasn't sure about doing a stipulation draft every single Wacky Wednesday. I think I'm going to do that more of an every other week kind of thing. I don't know if there's a huge viewership for it. I enjoy doing it, and I know a number of people enjoy watching it, but I can see how it may not be as enjoyable. And I am also getting a little sick of M15, as I mentioned in my Spiky Saturday, so I'm okay doing something different. I am going to keep these Wednesday videos as something wacky or slightly off normal. It's not going to be just a run-of-the-mill current block draft. And so today we're actually going to do a cube draft. For anybody who's not familiar with cube is basically the term given to a set that somebody has designed card by card. So you take existing Magic cards, you put them together to make a set of 360 or 540 or 720 or however many you want. Those are just common numbers. And then you draft that amongst your friends or amongst other players. You can do powered cubes that have moxes and lotuses and etc. in it. You can do pauper cubes that are only common cards. You can do tribal cubes that very much support goblins and zombies and things like that. I myself have a cube that I've built in paper. It's basically the good cards that I own is the theme holding it together. And Magic Online has a cube that Wizards updates every now and then. And they bring it out usually a few weeks before a new set is going to come out. A few weeks before a new set comes out, there's usually a bit of a lull. People are kind of tired of the last set. And so to keep people online and playing and paying money, of course, they put Cube on, in conjunction with the flashback drafts, of which you saw me do one last week with Tempest. So I'm going to be jumping into a Swiss Cube draft here. It's going to be a phantom draft, which means unfortunately I don't get to keep the cards. It would be extraordinarily expensive if I actually did get to keep the cards. But it should be fun. They support a lot of weird combos and things like that, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so we're good to go, and as you can see, this is a bit different than a normal booster pack. There's 2 Planeswalkers sitting there, there's a bunch of rares sitting there. There's actually relatively few commons in this pack. So Cube, as I said, supports a lot of crazy combos. You can have a 10-10, or yeah, a 10-10 protection from everything on the battlefield by turn 4. You can have a 7-7 flyer on turn 2 if you're lucky. I'm a big combo player, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Necromancy is a big part of that. If I can discard a creature on my first turn, on turn 3 I can have it out from the graveyard with Necromancy. That's probably what I'm going to aim towards. There's also a very good mono-red Red Deck Wins deck. There's a very good, several very good blue control decks, blue tempo decks, things like that. So looking at this pack, I'm inclined to take Necromancy because of my inclination towards combo decks, but Hero's Downfall just seems like a card that's going to go in absolutely any black deck I play. It's just solid, quick removal. It removes Planeswalkers, and there's a lot of Planeswalkers in this format. So I'm going to take Hero's Downfall. Should also point out this is my first cube draft ever, so we'll see how it goes. We've got a dual land here, just a Tundra. It taps for blue and white. Let's see, a few other good lands here. We've got Venzer, who's a really good tempo play. When he comes out, you bounce target permanent to its owner's hand, or even spell, so you can actually bounce something that's on the stack back to their hand. Or back to your hand, of course. No big reanimation targets here for what I would really like to build. We've got a Vindicate, which is another extremely good removal spell, and would go with black. It would push me into black-white right away, though. Fauna Shaman, not great because the creature just goes to your hand. I'm inclined to go with Vindicate here, I suppose. I'm also not 100% familiar with all of the cards in the cube. A lot of them I am. And the Wizards cube for Magic Online does skew a little bit newer. They do include a lot of new cards, so I'm familiar with a lot like Chasm Skulker and Satyr, or Firedrinker Satyr and things like that. Tome is kind of part of the reanimation deck. You use this card to go and find a creature and throw it in your graveyard to hopefully reanimate it the next turn. Having passed a Necromancy and now in Tome, I expect somebody on my right to really be going reanimation. So I am taking black. I could try to go the reanimation route. Birds is a really good ramp spell. Nizumi Grave Robber. Kind of anti-reanimation spell there. Even Mind Sensor can stop some combos. Or I could just go Day of Judgment and go kind of mid-range. I think that might be what I do. I'm not sure if black-white is an archetype in this format at all, but we'll find out at some point. Let's see, we've got more good removal in Abrupt Decay. Exalted Angel, whenever it deals damage, you gain that much life. So it's lifelink before there was lifelink, and it's got Morph, which people are getting more familiar with now, with cons coming out. Condemn is a really good, basically removal spell. The attacking creature gets put on the bottom of its owner's library. They get life equal to toughness, but it's usually pretty good to get that creature away. It could be what I take here, just to go my black-white mid-range removal plan. Silent Spectre. Deals combat damage to a player. That player gets Mind Rotted. And it's Morph. Pretty expensive. The Morph only saves 1. I think I'm happy with Condemn here. Just continue taking the good removal. And then I suppose take good creatures in Pack 2 and Pack 3. Let's see, we've got Erebos. Basically would just give me card draw. And I would need a bunch of creatures to get him online. Ranger of Eos. Enters the battlefield. You may search your library for 2 creature cards with convert mana cost to 1 or less. Reveal them, put them into your hand. Could start to build around that. Tome Stalker, a 5/5 flying with Delve. That could be a possibility. A 5/5 flyer is quite large. Destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. That's pretty powerful. That seems pretty powerful there. And it's cheaper than the Tome Stalker before the Delve. Visara the Dreadful. Let's take it. Why not? Let's see. We've got Carnophage, which is doing great for me in my Tempest drafts that I've been doing the past week. I did another one that unfortunately I didn't record, and I actually won it. I went 3-0 on the back of Carnophage for sure. Hand of Cruelty, Pro White and Bushido 1, which is when it blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1. Banisher Priest might be the pick here. It's just an O-ring, but on a body. Gul'Jaz Assassin will probably come back around. Hokori Dust Drinker. Lands don't on-tap. That's a downside. Beginning of each player's on-taps a land. For a 2/2. Probably not what I want. So I think I'm happy with the Banisher Priest here. Unfortunately, everything I have is a lot of mana, so I actually kind of want to pick up some dual lands at some point. Thawing Glaciers. Pay 1, search your library for a basic land. Battlefield. Return this to its owner's hand. So it's an Evolving Wilds that you get back and you get to do again and again for a mana. 8.5 tails. 1 and a white. Target permanent you control against Pro White until end of turn. Target spell or permanent becomes white until end of turn. So essentially 2 and a white and your creature has protection from whatever you want. It's not bad. I think I like Banishing Light more. Banishing Light, of course, is the non-creature version of Banisher Priest. Yeah, let's go for Banishing Light. Currently our win condition is kill everything and get Visara out. Ophiomancer. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you control no snakes, you get a snake. Interesting. Winter Orb. Players can't on-tap more than 1 land during their on-tap step. There's a lot of those cards going around. Wrench Mind. Target player discards 2 cards unless he or she discards an artifact. That's hand control. I think I maybe just want an Elite Vanguard here. Just getting another creature in my deck. It's early. It can smash in. Maybe I can put it down on turn 1 and then just kill everything else that gets played. Crucible of Worlds. You may play land cards from your graveyard. Necromancy came back around. So we could still live the Reanimation Dream. I didn't take that in Tome, but I think I will take the Necromancy here. So Tundra is blue-white. Drowned Catacombs is blue-black. Those are not the dual lands I'm looking for. Makeshift Mannequin. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a mannequin counter on it. For as long as that creature has a mannequin counter on it, it has when this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice. Okay, so it basically makes illusions. It's kind of a less good reanimation spell. But we'll take it. Oh, the Entomb came back around as well. So if I hit a really big reanimation target in Pack 2 or Pack 3, we can still get there. And I mean, even Visara would be an okay-ish target. So I think I'm pretty happy taking the Entomb here. I don't think I'll play Makeshift Mannequin. I guess we'll take Silent Spectre. Let me just read Necromancy. So this is a very old card, so it has a wall of text that probably could be simplified these days. So you can cast it as an instant. If you cast it anytime a sorcery couldn't have been cast, the control of the permanent sacrifices it at the beginning of the next cleanup step. So basically you can do it as an instant, but it only sticks around for a turn. So you probably want to cast this in your main phase. If you do cast it in your main phase, we'll take a Carnophage here. If you do cast in your main phase, it's an aura that enchants creature in a graveyard. You get to take it back, put it onto the battlefield, and then it basically just sticks around. If your opponent kills Necromancy, the creature does die, but it's obviously not nearly as vulnerable as this Makeshift Mannequin card. So we got a Skullcrack, let's get rid of that. So no huge black-white targets outside of Angel of Serenity, which is an okay target. I think we might actually be able to get it back around personally. I'm pretty happy with Chainer's Edict here. Target player sacrifices a creature for 1 and a black, plus it has flashback. I don't know if we'd get that Angel back around. And currently my reanimation tool deck is just Entomb Necromancy. So I think Chainer's Edict might be the safer pick here. A couple of other cool combo cards here are Sneak Attack. So if you're red, there's a Sneak Attack deck where you pay a red and you get to put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. It dies at the next end step, but you get to have 1 turn with that gigantic creature. And of course, if you're playing black-red, you can then just reanimate it after it's sacrificed. So it's kind of a cool deck. Genesis Wave is another one. Green, 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 X. You flip X cards from the top of your library, and then anything that costs X or less, you can immediately put on the battlefield. Another nice way of sort of jumping out a whole lot of creatures. But we'll go with Chainer's Edict here. Fits in our black-white kill-everything plan. Kozilek would be a good reanimation target, except as an Eldrazi, and as one of the big Eldrazi's, if he goes into a graveyard, he immediately gets shuffled back into the library. So we could do something like, in response to the trigger Necromancy, and get him for a turn, but that's not terribly great. Isolated Chapel is a duel that would work well in our deck. It might be what I take here. Mesmeric Fiend. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a card from it. Non-land, exile it. So it's basically Brain Maggot. It, in fact, is Brain Maggot as far as I can tell. I think just Isolated Chapel here. Great cards, of course, but nothing that terribly goes into a black-white deck. Nevinril's Disc is kind of interesting. It's basically Day of Judgment for creatures and artifacts and enchantments. Don't necessarily need that. I already have a day, and I already have a lot of removal. So we'll just take the dual land here to help us smooth out our mass amounts of mana symbols that we have. Let's see. Bane of the Living. Morph. When you turn it up, all creatures get -X/-X until end of turn. It's okay-ish. Black Sun Zenith is a good removal spell. Diabolic Edict is a good removal spell. I'm kind of at the point where I really want creatures more than I want removal now. So do I want the Bane? It doesn't seem like that good of a card. I guess I'll take the creature over Edict and Black Sun Zenith. We've got an Ajani, which I'd be pretty happy with. Deathcloud Herald. So I don't have a lot of creatures, so the +1 isn't super useful. Ajani does want to go into a deck with a fair number of creatures. I think I'll take the Ajani here, and I will just start prioritizing creatures a whole lot more for my last 7 or 8 picks or so. So let's go with the Ajani. Let's see, we've got a Bloodghast. It's a 2/1 for 2, can't block. He has haste as long as your opponent has 10 or less life. And whenever you play a land spell, if this is in your graveyard, it comes back to the battlefield. It's an okay creature. Would be a nice target for a Ajani. Celestial Flare is a good removal spell. Tendrils of Corruption is a good removal spell, but I think I'm getting pretty full of those by now. I don't actually know if Black-White Midrange is an archetype, but we'll find out. So let's go with Bloodghast. Hero of Bladehold, there's a good creature spell. Progenitus, there's a spell or a creature that you really want with the green and or the red sort of cheaty combo deck. Just like the Eldrazi, I can't throw that into my graveyard because if I do, it immediately gets shuffled back in. So Hero of Bladehold would be pretty good with a Ajani and just creatures in general. Silence is a good removal spell. I think I'm just getting full of those though. Thoughtseize, let's go with Hero. Another black-white duel. Exhume. Each player puts a creature card from his or her graveyard onto the battlefield, so more reanimation. 3/3 for 4. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of zombies you control. Putrid Imp. Discard a card, it gets flying. As long as there's 7 more cards in your graveyard, it becomes a 2/2 and can't block. That's not that good. Flying, 3/3 for 4. Landfall, you get a bird. I think I'll just go for the duel here. Drolf's Messenger. I quite like this card. I started out with Innistrad. This is Dark Ascension. And it was a powerful card in Standard at the time. I think it's probably the pick here. There's not much else for us. Grafted War Gear. 3, equip 0. That's pretty good. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. Whenever it becomes unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent. So basically I can't change what creature this has without killing that creature. But that's pretty okay. But I think I need to prioritize the creatures, so we'll take the Messenger here. And if I don't get something soon, the Entome and the Necromancy are probably going to go. Academy Rector. 1/2 for 4. This must have a good upside. Whenever it dies, you may exile it. If you do, search your library for an enchantment card, put it onto the battlefield. I don't think I have anything that would really do for me. So let's take the only spell we might possibly play, which would be Falconwrath Aristocrat, if we splash a red. But I don't think we will. We could think about it and take a Terminate, but I think maybe I just want the Step Links instead. It's an 0/1, and when you play a land, it becomes a 2/3 until end of turn. The Edict came back around. Nearheath Pilgrim is the lifelink Soul Bonder. So basically, Soul Bond was an Avacyn Restored mechanic. When you played a creature with Soul Bond, you could bond it to any other unbonded creature, and each creature would get some ability. So in this case, Pilgrim and the bonded creature would both get lifelink. I think that might be the pick here. Just a small little creature. Don't know if I'll play it. Herald of Torment came back around, so I might have worried too much about that pick of a Ajani a bit too much. Honor of the Pure would hit Vanguard, Lynx, Pilgrim, Priest, Bladehold. I only have 12 creatures. I think I want the Herald. Oops, I double-clicked too quick there. I took a pick of Flash Freeze. Hopefully there wasn't something good. I'll take the Silence. Some removal is going to get cut from this deck for sure. Not sure which just yet. But I think Entome can go and Necromancy can go. There's just not enough reanimation targets that I want to hit. Of course, watch there be a Grizzlebrand in this pack or something. No, there's Necroma. 6/6 flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, pro, black, and red. That's pretty good. That's an okay reanimation target there. I might take it, because otherwise we just have black creatures get +1/+1. We do have a sword, actually. Pro, green, blue. When it deals damage, put a 2/2 wolf on the battlefield, and mill 10. off the person's graveyard or library that you hit. I think we'll take the sword. Probably can get a chroma back even. I would think. I say with my little knowledge of the format. We'll take the sword. And now I'd like my next 2 or 3 picks to be creatures. And I'm going to take some stuff out. I will probably take out... possibly banish a priest, actually. I have a banishing light. I've got a lot of removal. So I don't necessarily need removal that can be killed. What do we have? We have an All Is Dust, which is destroy everything that has a color. Bitter Blossom. Beginning of your upkeep, lose life, get a fairy. Recurring Nightmare, sacrifice a creature, return it to your hand, return target creature from the graveyard to the battlefield. Hand of Honor, Stone Cloaker. Flash, flying. When it enters the battlefield, bounce a creature you control to its owner's hand. When it enters the battlefield, exile target card from a graveyard. Interesting. Maybe just Hand of Honor? Pro Black Bushido 1? Might be the pick. I don't see much else that I'd want to take here. Yeah, Hand of Honor it is. We've got a Sorin, which is in our colors, and makes creatures. Linvala, 3/4 flyer, activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. That's kind of cool. I think I just want the Sorin, though. Yeah, let's take Sorin. So the nice thing about Cube, of course, is there tends to be very little trash. Everything you draft is pretty playable, usually. We've got an Elspeth Tyrell. +2 gain a life for each creature. -2 get 3/1/1 soldiers. -5 destroy all other permanents except for lands and tokens. Do I want yet another Planeswalker? It's a Planeswalker that makes creatures. But there is a Godless Shrine here. There's also a Tormented Hero, Diagraph Ghoul, a Relic Warrior. So what would people probably take in this pack? I don't actually know. It's not a great question to ask me. Elspeth does make creatures. Yeah, I'll take Elspeth. Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni is probably the pick here. What's Scroll Rack? Pay 1, tap it, exile any number of cards from your hands face down. Put that many cards from the top of your library into your hand. Look at the exiled cards. Okay, so you trade your hand for cards on top of your library. It's not bad, but not terribly what I want to be doing. So Ink Eyes has ninjutsu, which means if you have a creature attacking unblocked, you can pay the ninjutsu cost and trade this card from your hand for that unblocked creature. So when Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni deals combat damage, you can put a creature card from your opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And she has Regenerate. I think she might be the pick here. I need creatures. I need good creatures. So yeah, we'll take her. So what can I cut? I'm going to need to make 3 cuts at a minimum. We can go Super Friends. We've got another Planeswalker here. But we also have an Obsidian, which I would really like. I think Obsidian is just much better than Liliana Vess for us right now. So we'll take Obsidian. Let's get rid of the Bane of the Living. I don't like that card. Silence gets around any indestructible. Oh yeah, I said we'd get rid of the Banisher Priest, so let's get rid of that. What's Silent Spectre? Yeah, I don't terribly like Silent Spectre. Of course, I'm cutting creatures here when I need to be cutting probably spells. Animate Dead is basically Necromancy, except the creature gets -1/-0. Night's Whisper, Doomblade, Rishadan Port, pay 1, tap to tap target land. Not terribly useful for us. Night's Whisper is Sign in Blood, but for 1 and a black instead of 2 black. I guess we'll just take the Doomblade. Probably won't play it. We've got better removal. Maybe side it in for some other removal if I'm not against a non-black deck. So what's my other cut here? Maybe Condemn. For removal I have Edict, which is non-targeted removal, but that's okay. Banishing Light. What do we have here? We have Mirren Crusader is pretty good. 2/2 double strike, pro black, pro green. Heliod. All my creatures get Vigilance. Yeah. Bad River. It's a fetch land, except it comes in tapped, but you don't pay a life for blue or black. We'll take Mirren Crusader. So anyways, as I was saying, we'll cut something. I'm not entirely sure. A Chroma came back around. I don't think I'm going to be able to cast her, and I don't think I'm going to be fitting in any reanimation spells, really. Bad Moon, Sign in Blood, Tragic Slip. Well, no, let's take a Chroma. Maybe we won't do well, and I'll just force the reanimation in a sideboard. Molten Tail, Masticore. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Molten Tail, Masticore unless you discard a card. I don't think we'll play any of these cards. Let's get rid of the Charm, I guess. Won't play any of these, I don't think. Let's take the Pernicious Deed. Diregraph, Tormented, or Spirit Bonds. Won't play any of these. Spirit Bonds, I guess, has the best possibility. Mana Tithe probably won't be played. It's a counterspell in white, which obviously doesn't happen much. It's because it was in Planar Chaos. But it's very conditional. Your opponent just has to pay 1 extra mana, and they get to do it anyways. Duress, sure. All Sun's Dawn, sure. So we're done the draft. Now we've got a deck build and actually play with it. So not sure how that's going to go. We still need to make 2 cuts here. And we've got 14 creatures, so those 2 cuts really should probably be spells. So I'll have to take a look at what spells we have. So let's sort these by... Does Magic Online have a sort by type? Group creatures separately. Let's do that. There we go. So cut 2 of these spells. I think all the Planeswalkers are in. Maybe a Johnny gets cut. Hero's Downfall is in. Banishing Light is in. Vindicate is in. Sword should be in, I think. I guess I keep coming back to Silence as the spell that I don't like, and it's a good spell. Being able to hit multiple targets with 1 removal spell if I live long enough is good. It exiles instead of destroying them. I guess it's only 1 more than Hero's Downfall. So maybe we could cut Hero's Downfall, side it in if we are up against some Planeswalkers. And then I guess I'm thinking about Condemn possibly. So we've got unconditional removal, untargeted removal, board sweep, targeted removal, targeted removal. And we have 14 creatures. Yeah, I guess let's get rid of the Condemn. So I guess that's our deck. Let's combine those groups again. Sort by CMC. So it's got a nice curve too. Yeah, not sure what else to say about it. We've got plenty of sideboard options. We can even try to convert this into a minor reanimation deck to get a Chroma out or Visara. You wouldn't want to reanimate Obsidian with most of the spells because it would fall off of him when he exiles. And then, actually, let me think about that. No, it would actually be pretty good with Obsidian because Obsidian would leave, Necromancy would go away, and then Obsidian would just keep coming back as though he was always alive, just like he works with Whip of Erebos. So that could be good, but I think we'll just go straight black-white mid-range here. So we'll put in our Chapel and our Caves of Koilos, and we will add some lands. 8-7. Sounds about right, I suppose. Add to deck. And that's what we're going to play with. So that's Cube Draft. As you can see, it's pretty fun, and I think fitting in the spirit of Wacky Wednesday. We'll see how these matches go. I have no idea what to expect, but I will see you then for round 1.